Every morning, same routine. He'd walk into the kitchen, open my vitamin bottle, hand me a glass of water, watch me swallow every single one, then kiss my cheek and leave for work. For 8 months, I was exhausted. Brain fog, hair falling out, crying for no reason. 8 months of doctors telling me nothing was wrong. 8 months of him holding my hand saying, "We'll figure this out together, baby." He already knew exactly what was wrong with me because he was the reason. The vitamins he'd been handing me every single morning weren't vitamins at all. They were placebos, sugar pills. While I was falling apart, he was watching, knowing, and saying nothing. The day I found out, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I went to my drawer, pulled out documents I'd had quietly prepared, walked to the kitchen and set them right next to his coffee cup. Divorce papers. He came downstairs, looked at the table, then looked at me, and I said, "I know what you did. Sign them. Stay with me," because his response, I never saw coming. Before I take you back to the beginning, if this story hits close to home, take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely connect with it. Drop your location and your local time in the comments. I love knowing where you're listening from. My name is Claire, and 18 months ago, I was the kind of woman who had everything running on a schedule. 5:45 a.m. alarm, gym by 6, work by 8:30. I was a project manager at a mid-sized marketing firm, organized, focused, dependable. My colleagues called me the human calendar. My mother called me her proudest achievement. I called myself fine, because I was. I had a 1-bedroom apartment with plants I actually kept alive, a savings account I added to every month, a small circle of friends who showed up when it mattered. I was not lonely. I was not desperate. I was not looking, which is exactly when Daniel walked in. He was a friend of a friend at a rooftop birthday party on a Thursday evening in October. Tall, quiet in a way that felt intentional. He did not approach me immediately. He stood across the rooftop with a drink in his hand and talked to other people. And every now and then, he glanced over. Not in an aggressive way, in a "I see you and I am not in a rush" kind of way. My friend Maya leaned over and whispered, "That is Daniel. He just moved back from London. He keeps looking at you." I told her I had not noticed. She told me I was a terrible liar. He came over eventually, asked me what I did, listened, actually listened when I answered, did not interrupt, did not redirect to himself, just listened, and then asked a follow-up question. Do you know how rare that is? We talked for 2 hours on that rooftop. He walked me to my car, asked if he could take me to dinner. Not, "Can I get your number?" Dinner. Specific, intentional, respectful. I said yes. And just like that, it started. The first 6 months with Daniel were the kind of relationship you read about and assume is fiction. He remembered everything. The name of the difficult client stressing me out on a Tuesday, my coffee order without asking, that I hated when people were late, that my father and I were estranged and I did not like to talk about it. He did not push. He did not pry. He just held space for every part of me, the organized, capable part, and the quietly fragile part I rarely showed anyone. We moved in together after 8 months. His suggestion, my hesitation, his reassurance. Claire, I have never been more sure of anything. And honestly, neither had I. So I gave my landlord notice, packed my plants, and moved into a house with a man I was completely certain I knew. The proposal came 4 months later, a Sunday morning. No restaurant, no crowd, just the 2 of us in the kitchen in our pajamas. He was making eggs. He turned around with the ring just sitting in his palm. No box, no bend of the knee, just, "I do not want to do this life without you. Will you marry me?" I said yes before he finished the sentence. We got married 7 months later. Small ceremony, 40 people. Maya as my maid of honor, his best friend Marcus as best man, my mother crying in the front row. It was the happiest day of my life, and I mean that without a single drop of irony, because the man I married that day, I genuinely loved him, which is why what came next broke me in a way I did not know a person could be broken. It started small, the way things always do. About 3 months into our marriage, I started feeling tired. Not the tired you feel after a long week, the tired that sits in your bones, the kind that sleep does not fix. I chalked it up to adjusting. New marriage, new routines, new pressures. I kept going to the gym, kept hitting my deadlines at work, kept smiling at dinner. But by month 4, I was struggling to get through the day without feeling like I was moving through fog. I made a doctor's appointment. Blood work came back fine. Could be stress, the doctor said. Are you sleeping enough? I was sleeping 9 hours and waking up exhausted. But sure, stress. Daniel came to that appointment with me, sat in the chair beside me, asked the doctor questions I had not even thought to ask. Could it be hormonal? Could it be her diet? Is there anything we should be tracking? The doctor smiled at him. She is lucky to have such an attentive husband. I remember thinking the same thing. I remember squeezing his hand in the car on the way home. By month 5, I had lost 11 pounds without trying. My hair was coming out in the shower in amounts that scared me. I was crying randomly, in the middle of meetings, in the grocery store, once in the car at a red light for a full 4 minutes without knowing why. I went back to the doctor, then a second doctor, then a specialist. Every test came back inconclusive. Your levels look normal, Claire. There's nothing obviously wrong. Have you considered anxiety? And every single night, Daniel would sit with me on the couch, rub my back, hand me my evening vitamins with a glass of water, and say, "We will figure this out. I promise." It was a Wednesday. Daniel was at work. I was working from home that day because I barely had the energy to shower. I was sitting at the kitchen table with my laptop when I knocked my bag off the chair. Everything spilled. Keys, wallet, lip balm, a pen, and my vitamin bottle. I picked it up and something felt different. I cannot explain it properly. The bottle felt the same weight, the pills looked the same, but something made me stop. I opened it, tipped one into my palm, looked at it, and then I did something I had never done before. I bit into it. No taste, no coating, no nothing. Just chalky, flavorless powder that dissolved like sugar on my tongue. I sat very still for a moment, then I went to the bathroom cabinet, pulled out the backup bottle, the one I had bought myself 3 months ago that I thought we had switched to. I bit into one of those too. Same thing. Chalky, tasteless, nothing. I sat on the bathroom floor, my back against the cold cabinet, and I started doing the math. 8 months of symptoms. 8 months of doctors finding nothing wrong. 8 months of him handing me these pills every single morning, watching me swallow them every single day. I pulled out my phone and typed the name of the vitamins into Google. Then I found a supplement testing forum. Someone had posted about counterfeit vitamins, how easy they were to make, how indistinguishable they looked from the real thing, how the symptoms of prolonged placebo use, combined with the anxiety of thinking you are sick, could produce exactly what I had been experiencing: brain fog, fatigue, weight loss, emotional instability. Not from poison, from fear, from 8 months of believing I was ill, from the psychological weight of a body that kept being told by its own mind, something is wrong with you. And he had watched me carry that every single day. He had handed me those pills, kissed my cheek, and gone to work. I sat on that bathroom floor for a long time, long enough for the light coming through the frosted window to shift from morning to afternoon. And then something inside me went very, very quiet. Not sad, not hysterical. Quiet. The kind of quiet that comes when a person finally stops being confused, when the fog lifts, not because things got better, but because you finally understand exactly how bad they actually are. I stood up, washed my face, called Maya. She picked up on the second ring. I told her everything. She was silent for a long time. Then she said, "Claire, do not touch anything. Do not confront him, not yet. First, call a lawyer." I want you to understand something about the week that followed. I did not fall apart. I had spent 8 months falling apart. I was done with that. I called a family lawyer that same afternoon. Her name was Patricia. Calm, direct, no unnecessary words. I told her everything. She listened without interrupting. Then she said, "What he did may constitute emotional and psychological abuse. We document everything, and we prepare." We prepared. I started keeping notes, dates, incidents, conversations. I photographed both vitamin bottles and sent them to Patricia. She had them independently tested. The results came back in 4 days. Placebos. Confirmed. I went to a new doctor alone, without Daniel. Told her I suspected I had been taking fake supplements for months and needed a full psychological and physical evaluation. She did not judge me. She scheduled everything, and slowly, with actual nutrition and actual care, my body started to come back. The fog began lifting, the weight stabilized, the crying stopped, and with every day that passed, I became clearer, more certain, more ready. Daniel noticed I seemed better. He said, "See, I told you we would figure it out." I smiled at him and said nothing, because I was already 3 steps ahead. During that week, I also did something I had avoided for a long time. I called my father. We had been estranged for 4 years over something I am not ready to share in this video, but I called him, and he picked up, and I said, "Dad, I need help. I think I need to come home for a little while." He did not ask questions. He just said, "Your room is exactly as you left it." I booked a moving van for the following Saturday. I arranged for my closest friend to come over Thursday evening to help me pack the things that mattered most, while Daniel was at his weekly work dinner. I did not take everything, just mine. My clothes, my books, my plants, all 7 of them, the framed photo of my mother on my wedding day, and the ring. I took the ring, too, not to keep, but because Patricia told me to. By Friday evening, everything was in boxes in Maya's car parked 2 streets away, and all that was left was the conversation. Saturday morning. I was up before him. I made coffee. His mug on the left side of the counter like always, mine on the right. I sat at the kitchen table, and I waited. I heard the shower, then footsteps on the stairs. He came into the kitchen in his gray t-shirt and pajama pants, hair still damp. He saw me at the table and smiled. "Morning, you are up early." Then he saw the papers. He stopped, looked at the table, then looked at me. The smile did not disappear immediately. It just froze. "What is this?" I kept my voice completely level. "Sit down, Daniel." He did not sit. "Claire, what is this?" I slid the vitamin bottle across the table, then the lab results, then the divorce papers. He looked at all 3, and for a moment, just a moment, something crossed his face that I will never forget. Not anger, not denial. Shame. Raw, unmistakable shame. "I can explain. I know what you did," I said. "I have the results. I have a lawyer. I have documented 8 months of symptoms and appointments. I am not here to argue. I am not here to fight. I am here to give you the papers and to ask you one question." He sat down slowly, his hands on the table. "Why?" He was quiet for a long time, and then he said something I was not prepared for. "Because I was scared you were going to leave me." I stared at him. "Your vitamins were for your anxiety, Claire, the ones you started taking when you were stressed about the marriage, and I convinced myself that if you were not anxious anymore, if you felt better, you would realize you did not need me. So I replaced them. And then you started getting worse, and I did not know how to stop it without telling you what I had done. So I just kept going." The kitchen was completely silent. I looked at this man I had loved completely, this man who had made me eggs on a Sunday morning and asked me to spend my life with him.
And I understood something in that moment that no one tells you about betrayal. It is not always done by monsters. Sometimes it is done by people who are so terrified of losing you that they destroy you trying to keep you. That does not make it acceptable. It does not make it okay, but it meant something, because my next words surprised even me. I pushed the divorce papers across the table. "I need you to sign these." He looked up. "Claire." "Not because I definitely want a divorce," I said, "but because I need you to understand that what you did had consequences, real ones, and I need to know that you understand that the version of this marriage we have been living was not real." He picked up the pen. His hand was shaking. He signed. I took the papers, folded them, and put them in my bag. Then I stood up. "I am going to my father's. I need time." "How much time?" he asked. "I do not know." I picked up my bag, walked to the door, and then I stopped. With my hand on the door frame, I turned back. "Daniel, get a therapist. Not for me, for yourself. Because whatever is so broken inside you that made you think this was the answer, that needs to heal, whether I'm in your life or not." He nodded. His eyes were wet. I walked out. The moving van was already on the street. Maya was leaning against her car with 2 coffees. She handed me one without a word. We drove away, and I did not look back.
I spent 6 weeks at my father's house. The same house I grew up in. The same bedroom with the same window that looked out onto the same oak tree. My father is not a man of many words, but every morning he made breakfast. Every evening he sat in the living room while I read, just present. No questions, no pressure, just a father making sure his daughter knew she was not alone. In that house, I started sleeping properly for the first time in 8 months. I started eating. I started feeling like myself again. I got a therapist of my own. Her name was Dr. Anita, and in our very first session, she said something that I wrote down and have kept ever since. "Claire, what happened to you was not a reflection of your worth. It was a reflection of his fear, and fear, when it is not dealt with, becomes destruction." I dealt with a lot in those sessions, not just Daniel. The estrangement from my father, the part of me that had ignored small signs because I did not want to see them, the work of becoming someone who trusts themselves again. That last one took the longest. 4 months after I left, Daniel contacted me through Patricia. He had been in therapy twice a week since the morning I walked out. He was not asking to reconcile. He was asking if he could apologize. In person, properly. I thought about it for 2 weeks, and then I said yes. We met at a coffee shop on a Tuesday afternoon. He looked different, not physically, but in the way people look different when they have done real, uncomfortable work on themselves. He spoke for about 10 minutes. No excuses, no justifications, just accountability. And at the end, he said, "I am sorry, Claire, not because things fell apart, but because I did not trust you enough to just tell you I was scared. You deserved honesty, and I failed you." I accepted his apology, not for him, for me, because carrying that weight was never mine to carry. I did not take him back, but I forgave him, and those are 2 entirely different things. It has been 14 months since that Saturday morning. I am back in my own apartment. New building, better plants. I went back to work full-time 3 months after leaving. Margaret, my manager, never asked too many questions. She just quietly moved my most stressful account to a colleague for 2 months and gave it back when I was ready. That is what good people do. My father and I talk every Sunday now. 14 months of Sunday calls, 4 years of silence undone, one conversation at a time. Maya is still Maya. She showed up with coffee that morning, and she has not stopped showing up since. I am not in a relationship. I am not looking for one. I am doing something I did not know how to do before all of this. I am learning to trust the quiet, to sit in my own life without needing someone else to confirm that it is good.
Because here's what I know now that I did not know 14 months ago. You can love someone completely and still walk away. You can forgive someone fully and still choose yourself. And you can be broken open by betrayal and come out the other side more certain of who you are than you have ever been. I did not need Daniel to be a villain for this story to matter. I did not need to hate him for leaving to be the right thing. I just needed to be honest. With him, with myself, and with every single woman watching this right now who has ever sat on a bathroom floor, holding something in her hand, and felt the whole world shift beneath her. You are not crazy. You are not dramatic. You are not too much. You are just someone who finally started seeing clearly. And that is the beginning of everything. If you stayed with me until the very end of this, thank you, truly. If any part of this story put words to something you have been carrying silently, drop a comment below. You do not have to share everything, even just saying, I needed this today. I read every single one. If this helped you, share it with one person who needs to hear it. You never know whose bathroom floor moment this might reach.